What do you do when you love collecting retro video games, but you don't have conventions in your area, or you don't have a great store in your area? Well, you subscribe to a service like Video Games Monthly, like I do. This is a terrific service with a number of different options out there, and the great thing is that everything that they send you, you get to keep. It's not something where it's a rental type setup. They send you great games for whatever tier that you select. For example, and they do have a number of different tiers. What we subscribe to is the 3-up, which basically gets us 3 games per month for $34.99. There's also the 4-up that gets you 4 games for $39.99, 5-up, which gets you 5 games, or the Power Pack, which gets you 10 games for $79.99. Like I mentioned, I actually subscribe to the 3-up pack for $34.99. So let's go ahead, let's take a look at what we happen to get in this month's box, check their condition, and do some gameplay. So here we have this month's box. Let's take a look now. The one thing that I never do is I don't look inside ahead of time. I just go ahead. It's a blind draw, so you see things probably before I do. So we have some bubble wrap. Got something here. Oh, very cool. A VGM and Premium Edition calendar. One thing, just as a piece of advice for 2024, if you have release dates locked in for Premium Edition, highlight them on the calendar. It'd be kind of cool to see throughout the year. Next, we've got some cards. Oh, we got a 1-up. So basically what that means is, like I mentioned, we pay for the 3 game per month plan. The 1-up means that we're going to have 4 games in here, which is awesome. And then this is a reminder to go ahead and update your library each and every month. You need to do so 7 days before the end of each month. And then you can also enter to win up to 3 free games. Just post your box to social media, and then they choose one random box every month to get a free box. So let's see what else we have in here. That's it. So let's grab our first game. Well, great for some people, not for me. This is Dragon Ball Z. I am not a Dragon Ball fan, but I love, and this is for the Famicom. I didn't mention that. We'll put the value down in here for you. And I mean, cartridge is in decent shape. We'll definitely go ahead and clean this. Up next is another Famicom game. This is Sky Destroyer from Taito. We'll pop that on screen as far as the value and everything right over here. Looks like it's some kind of a shooter. I love the fact that, you know, they do Famicom games, but 2 not so good ones, at least for me to start with. Let's see, this feels like a Genesis game. Ooh, Master System. This is Thunderblade for the Sega Master System. A little bit faded, but overall not terrible. It does have the hanger tab is cut off. Ooh, I would say CIB Plus, maybe? Oh, check this. This is cool. Oh, wow. So, no manual, but man, it has the Master System poster. That is super, super cool. And then on the back, that's what I thought, it also has, kind of like what Nintendo did, different game examples on here too. Coming soon, Monopoly, SDI, Party Games, Zillion 2, Combat, and Rescue. So actually, no manual in here, which is kind of a bummer, but I do love me some Sega Master System. Thunderblade, definitely worthwhile to check out. Another first-person, or not first-person, but another shmup, I think I may have called Sky Destroyer first-person shooter. This is shmup, as is Thunderblade. So there's 3. Let's check number 4. Feels like, what the heck is this? Oh, wow. This is my first of the Hue card type games for the Sega Master System, and oh, that doesn't sound good. Case definitely seen better days. They call them not Hue cards, but Sega cards. And it's kind of neat. If you take a look here, you can kind of see some of the wear and tear. We're going to try cleaning this up with just a 1-up cleaning card. No manual in here. Will this just normally sit in here? Well, I wonder if there isn't like something that this is, like I say, I don't have any of these. This is my first. So I wonder if this isn't something that should have another case that goes around here. So what we're going to do, we're going to clean these real quick, and we're going to test them out. All right, so to clean our games that we have here, we've got a couple tools we're going to go ahead and bust out here. First and foremost, 1-Up cleaning cards. Swear by these. Good friends with Adam behind the company. Stand-up guy, stand-up company. Do have some 1-Up cleaning card fluid. It's isopropyl alcohol is all that is. And I have used and reused these many times. Now, if I need to, I do have this here. This is called Bright Boy. And this is a metal polish that if the pins are really, really grody, we're going to go ahead and use. What I like about this versus in the past, some people have used like Brasso. This is non-abrasive. And it also doesn't leave the chalky residue behind like Brasso will. So let us take a look. To get inside of a Sega Master System cartridge like Thunderblade that we have here, all we need is a Phillips screwdriver, which we happen to have our handy dandy Phillips screwdriver here. Now to clean this cartridge, I did not need to open it. I'm simply opening it so you can see the pins along with me. Some black gunk kind of came out of the cartridge, which is not good. Not sure if that's from, yeah, that looks like it's from the threads, so nothing to really worry about here. Let's take a look at these pins, and they're good but not great. I think a 1-Up cleaning card is all we're going to need on this. Let's take a look here at how it turns out. Now, with the 1-Up cleaning card, you do have a fluid side and a dry side, and they come in a couple different sizes, so if you're trying to clean like Game Boy games, there's a size for that versus the standard size cartridge pins that we have here. Yeah, that's not really budging any of that crud that's on there. And I have no doubt that the game would play like this, but I want to go ahead and make sure that that crud is staying out of my machine. So what we're going to do, we are going to break out the Bright Boy. The way that I apply this is I just put a couple blobs here. There we go, a little bit on that pin there. And now I'm going to take a cotton swab and just rub it in. And all we're doing at this point, we're not actually cleaning, we're just working that solution in. Although, look at how much crap has already come off of there. That's a good sign. That's garbage that we're keeping out of our system. Now, while I'm letting that side soak in, we're going to do the back side. Now, John Riggs, good friend of the channel, has got a great analogy for this. It's like resurfacing a disc. You don't want to do it a bunch, but if you do it a couple times here and there, you're going to make sure that you maintain the quality of what you've got going on. So again, look at that just from applying everything that's on here. So we're going to let that sit for a second before we go ahead and clean it off. So now we've got just a clean cotton swab here. All we're going to do is buff it off. And I let that sit on here for 5-6 minutes. Now you will notice the pins when you do this turning a little bit more silver than gold. That's where the resurfacing of a disc comes to play. So there's that. You can see coming off on that side. You know, not too bad on here. I'm just glad that I was able to get that crud off of here. Now, before I go ahead and reassemble everything, I'm again just going to take our 1-Up cleaning card and we're just going to polish those pins. Polish, polish, polish. Flip it around. Polish, 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 polish. And all we're doing here is we're making sure that any of the Bright Boy that may have been left on the pins doesn't wind up in our system. So that now looks really, really good. I'm very happy with the way that that looked. And, you know, like I say, it probably would have played just fine as it were, but I just wanted to make sure. And I just didn't want that garbage in my system. So now we can take our game and put it back in the case. It'll only go in one direction. So if I try to put it in this way, you can see the holes don't line up for the board. So it can only go in one way. Put the case back together. And one tip I've got to say, and something that I've been impressed by the number of people that you know, say that they didn't realize that this was even a thing, is the fact that before you screw these threads back in on the screws, unscrew it slightly. That way the threads take a set inside of the threads of the screw take a set inside the threads on the cartridge, and then screw it back in. And then let's do the same thing with the other screw here. Again, unscrew slightly. You'll feel it kind of pop into place. There it is. Thread it back in. Ready to test. Now, thankfully, but not so thankfully, Famicom cartridges are not that easy to get into. There's no screws, there's no hardware or anything. Voltar, good friend of the channel, has got a video out where he shows that if you use a clamp or a vise, you can squeeze this part of the cartridge to pop it open. I've typically just used either Bright Boy or 1-Up cleaning cards on these. I have not actually ever opened up a Famicom cartridge, so let's take this one, and we don't need to apply any more fluid. We can just put this in here like this, see what we get. Doesn't look too bad. Same thing on that. Do the bottom, do the top. We'll test these out and see how they play. Finally, let's take a look at My Hero. My Hero. And all we're going to do on this, since the pins are exposed here, we're just going to take up our 1-Up cleaning card, hit it like that. Yeah, that's cleaning off a lot of that already. A little concerned about some of those scratches there, but we'll test it and see if it plays. Dry it off. Ooh, that's got a smudge there. So yeah, we are going to hit it with just a real little touch of Bright Boy. Now for this, I'm actually going to apply it right to the cotton swab. There we go. Because I want to be very deliberate with my placement on here, because I'm just going to hit that one pin. Yeah, there we got just a little bit off. Now we're going to hit those pins there real quick. Yeah, that's cleaning off a good bit there. And then back to the fluid, and then to the dry. We're ready to play. So how did we do on this month's box? First and foremost, the game's pretty clean, so pretty happy with that. Even My Hero was pretty clean. Value-wise, what are we looking at? So Thunderblade here, this is $13 according to I use the Game Eye app. I also double-check some of these prices over on Price Charting. Dragon Ball Z, this was $7. And Sky Destroyer, this was $8. Now, My Hero, there's actually two different cases on this. The standard case, or the less expensive case, is worth $17, so already the most valuable game in the slot. This version of it, however, $28. So even in this condition and everything, you know, we're looking at anywhere between $45 and $65 roughly, our total value of this month's lot. Pretty cool. Now, for this month, I did select just to have games from the Famicom and the Master System. So for next month, I'm actually changing my selection a little bit, where I'm adding the PlayStation into it, because I want to try some of the Spyro games and see if I can get my hands on them. Now, I have put in a message to the guys over at Video Games Monthly, and if they have the ability to fill requests like that, they'll take care of you. Now, the Spyro game's not terribly expensive, but it might be one of those where with the 3-Up game that I have, or the 3-Up level that I have here, I may not get a 1-Up in the box if 1, 2, or goodness, if all 3 happen to be in there. So this is, again, something that I love the fact that you can customize it as far as what systems that you want. Something that I have never broken down and picked up. I've never picked up any of the Sega card games. I now have one in My Hero. Now, I will say my system didn't want to play this right away. Took a couple times to put it in and remove it, put it in and remove it. So I don't know if it was my system, because I've never tested one of them before, or if it was the card, but it did eventually work, as you saw from the captured footage. Very cool. Now, if you like this, make sure that you go ahead. You can subscribe. There's no annual commitment or anything like that. You can also go ahead and check out our playlist that we have that covers all of our video games and monthly boxings.